The Rangers are one series away from the Stanley Cup final, but one game at a time, folks. And that starts Wednesday in the Eastern Conference Finals against the Florida Panthers. New York Post Rangers beat writer Mollie Walker is on to get us all caught up with the storylines heading into this series. Mollie, I'm still jacked up off of those Game 6 vibes to close out the Hurricanes. And we had the Stanley Cup trophy in the studio yesterday, but I didn't touch it. I didn't jinx it. I didn't touch it. How you doing today?
Good. How are you?
I'm great. I did good not touching it from what I heard on Twitter. So let's hop into this thing. We're talking about two teams who've earned the right to play in the Eastern Conference Finals. The Panthers are not the Capitals. They're not the Hurricanes, and they pretty much present their own challenges. So what are the Rangers going up against this series, and how do these two teams match up?
The Florida Panthers are a mean team. That's probably the biggest differentiating factor that they have going for them. They are a tough as nails group. They have a very skilled group as well. So when you combine the mean factor, the skill, they're defensively responsible, especially since Paul Maurice took over last year. They've been a defensive-minded team as well as a team that can make you pay on the offensive side of the puck as well, and can get you by just outscoring you as well. So you're right. It's a different kind of animal than the Capitals and the Hurricanes. But that's what it takes. You got to beat the best to be the best.
Yeah, the Rangers have been elite in their special teams play throughout the playoffs. How crucial is it going to be for them to continue to dominate that part of their game against Florida?
Yeah, I mean, I think it's going to come down to just which team can get to and establish their game first. And I think that with the Rangers, special teams is definitely a separating factor for them. It's something that has been a separating factor for them all season long, and even more so in the playoffs here against Capitals and the Hurricanes. Their specialty teams really shined to no end. Honestly, it was a really, really big part of their success so far. So it is going to be important for the Rangers to play to their strengths as they have been all postseason long.
One guy who I've had my eye on since we interviewed a couple weeks ago before, I believe the Hurricane series, is Vincent Trocheck. You say he was going to be an X factor, so kudos to you. Yeah. Thank you for putting me on to him. A few days ago, you wrote a story about the Vincent Trocheck effect. So what is that effect, and how much of an impact has he had on this team during this tremendous playoff run?
Well, he just has a hand in everything that the Rangers do, and all aspects of their game. He is right in the middle of it, honestly. And when I talk about the effect, I mean, especially it's going to be even more important in this series because, like I mentioned, the Panthers are a mean team, but you know what, Vincent Trocheck can be a mean player as well. He'll get in your face, he'll laugh in your face, and he'll give you a thumbs up as you're going to the penalty box, and he just does certain things that I'm sure grind opponents' gears and get under opponents' skin, and that's a kind of player that the Rangers haven't really had in a while, and so he's really played to that role so well, and it just makes it 10 times more difficult to go up against when he's also beating you on the scoreboard as well. So he has been such an integral part of what the Rangers have done so far in this postseason.
Yeah, with what he's been doing, the Vincent Trocheck effect should be put in a bottle and sold as cologne, because this dude has been absolutely lights out. Let's move on to another player that's at the top of his game right now. 10 of Alexis Lafreniere's 19 career playoff points have come in this year's run. He's been physical. The young boy has been balling out of control. So outside of the Trochecks, the Kreiders, is Laffy another guy that could take over in this series?
Well, he's definitely going to be a factor. I think, just secondary scoring in general is always huge in the playoffs. And he's, as well as Trocheck, is such a big part of that second line that has been so consistent for the Rangers this season. But for Alexis Lafreniére, it really has just been a continuation of what was a breakout regular season for him, and for him to be able to carry it over into the playoffs. He was definitely a big factor in the Carolina series, and it's going to take all hands on deck going forward. everybody always talks about, it's one line this night, it's another line this night, one player this night, another player next night. And Alexis Lafreniére is certainly in that rotation of players who are going to have to step up every once in a while and have a big, big performance.
And what's crazy is, like, Rangers Twitter, people were arguing about wanting him traded and calling this man a bust. In the words of Mike Jones, back then they didn't want me. Now I'm hot. They all on me. Rangers GM Chris Drury spoke to the media today ahead of Game 1. You were there. What were some of your biggest takeaways, and how confident is Mr. Drury that this group can bring home the Stanley Cup?
Definitely very confident. I mean, the Rangers haven't given any reason not to be confident in what they have going so far. But probably my biggest takeaway was Drury talking about when he realized that Peter Laviolette was the right fit for this group. And for him, it really started right in the interview process. He actually revealed that Laviolette was the first coaching candidate that he actually interviewed, and nobody was able to come close to how impressed he was with Peter Laviolette. And that has only continued as we've all seen the habits that he's instilled in this Rangers team, from practice, competition, and just, regular mental habits as well. Peter Laviolette really has his fingerprints all over this Rangers season, all over this Rangers run. And you got to tip your cap to Chris Drury for hiring the man.
Yeah, this team is bought in. With no doubt, this team is all the way in. Before I let you go, I got to see if there's any updates on Filip Chytil. You think he's going to play this series? And while we're at it, what about Blake Wheeler as well?
All signs point to Filip Chytil playing in Game 1 against the Florida Panthers. He has been taking reps on the third line. He's been taking reps on the second power play unit. And he did exactly say today that he expects to be in the lineup in Game 1. So straight from the horse's mouth, Filip Chytil does plan to play in Game 1. And Blake Wheeler sounds like an option. He's worked tirelessly since his injury to get his way back and to become an option. And that has been what's been driving him throughout this entire recovery timeline. And now he's been on the ice with them. He's a full participant, no non-contact jersey. And so he's available. He's available if the Rangers need him.
To go back to Chytil, we say he wants to enjoy the atmosphere, and most importantly, give them the win tomorrow and start 1-0. That's the type of energy that I'm on heading to go pick up my kid from daycare. Mollie Walker, thanks for hopping on with us.
Thanks for having me.